We made a public policy decision in this country a long time ago that we believed a quality public education was something that was important, and really important as a right for all Americans. And certainly, I think we still want to live up to that public policy statement, or that ideal, but we are, I think, in danger of seeing that again erode. Part of it is just looking at dropout rates across the country. If you think about the dropout rate, 3 out of 10 kids who enter high school drop out while they're in high school. And that's a really serious statistic to ponder in a world where you need a high school education at the very least to enter the workforce and to really enjoy any minimum sort of quality of life. High school education is very important to that. It's not that you can't get a GED and ultimately get there, and it's not that you can, that if you don't get a high school degree that all these bad things will happen, but what we know is that it puts you at such a much greater risk of a host of things. There's a good study out of Boulder that looks at just incarceration rates between kids who finish 11th grade and kids who don't finish 12th grade. And if you finish 11th grade but don't finish 12th grade, your likelihood of being incarcerated is 70% higher than kids who have a high school diploma. 70% higher in 1 year's difference in education. That's about that high school diploma. We understand as well that there are a host of other things. The loss of the income that you earn over a lifetime is extreme if you don't have a high school degree. In this state, there was a group of people in the Children's Campaign that measured that at one point in time, and I think they said it was about $4.5 billion a year in lost earned income potential because kids had dropped out of high school and hadn't gotten their high school diploma. That doesn't speak about what happens when you drop out of high school in terms of your ability to someday go to community college or a 4-year college or a research university. So we look at the dropout rate and we say this is really a serious issue for us and something to focus on. Here in Colorado, first of all, we're not sure what the number is, so we're trying to get a handle on really what the number is as it relates to the dropout. But let's say it's 25%. That's probably a pretty good guess, that 25% of the kids in Colorado who start high school do not complete. 1 out of 4 kids. It should be absolutely unacceptable to us as a state that 1 out of 4 kids who are entering high school are not completing. I said in the State of the State address, we think that we should look at that dropout rate, and over a 10-year period, we should cut it in half. And I had this national education policy guy say, no other governor in the United States has set such a clear goal. And we said, uh-oh, why not? It's not like 49 other governors didn't look at their dropout rate and have some kind of a goal they want to set around it. No, they didn't. And I think it's because we're not ambitious enough, because we don't think it can happen, because we don't have enough confidence in our education system to embark upon reform that looks at that dropout rate. Our achievement gap. We said we want to cut our achievement gap in half. We don't want to do that by having Caucasian kids perform less well. We want to do it by ensuring that kids of color, from communities of color, Hispanic kids, African American kids, do better and better and better as we all progress. And we really think there's the ability to do that. And we have a group of people in this state. We formed a P20 council, preschool through the end of your sort of time in college, your postgraduate work. P through 20, we formed this council. That'll be our vehicle for reform. But it really is about a host of things, including looking at that dropout rate, looking at the achievement gap. There's just this really interesting conversation even about preschool, and that's why we made it the P through 20 council. And I want to talk about it because it's this great way to talk about public policy and trying to make decisions now that impact generations at a later time. Preschool programs for at-risk kids have existed in this state for quite a while. Enough time that we have kids who have graduated from high school who entered as at-risk kids in a preschool program. Here's what the research shows us, that if you are a preschool kid and you're at risk and you go to a preschool program, that your graduation rate is actually higher than the statewide average of all kids. It's almost 3 times as high as kids who are at risk that don't go to preschool, right? Almost 3 times as high. So why would we not fully invest in at-risk kids to go to preschool if we know that? Why as a state haven't we long ago cleared the waiting list? And in fact, we hadn't. When I became governor, there was still a waiting list. In fact, before referendum C passed, there was a significant waiting list of about 6,000 kids. And the thing of it is, when you clear the waiting list, you pick up the next kid, right? You pick up the next year's kids. If there's a waiting list, that meant there were kids who went into kindergarten who could have gone into a preschool program for at-risk, but we didn't pay for that to happen, and so they went into kindergarten less well prepared, and that their outcomes will be different. It's outcome determinative in many respects when you look at the amount of money you can spend on kids in preschool who are at risk.